There's a specific person in the industry who I was very proud of actually when they entered the industry. I was like, man, like, you're doing you know, go for it and you're going to go so far. I started seeing they were not who they had depicted themselves to be on social media. And I'm not saying that they were sharing their depression. I was looking at the things that they would like the substances that they were using. They were the drug abuse. My father was essentially warning me against that, to say, be very careful.
Hey guys, another incredible episode coming up. But first things first, let's get this out of the way. A number of you are watching the show, thankfully. Of course, we've reached this beautiful milestone when you're watching this of so many subscribers, but a number of you, over 50% of you, are watching but are not subscribed. Remember that for us to continue having amazing guests, as we're going to have an amazing conversation now, we need you to subscribe so that the show grows and the growth conversations and the life reaches other people. 2, if you're watching this episode, you can see on your screen that EYL Africa is now live. So you can shop our socks, you can shop this shirt that I'm wearing, and yeah, just continue being part of the family. Bahumi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? I want some water, actually.
Please have some water.
Thank you. I feel home already.
Welcome home. That's exactly.
But these are generally the reasons. You know, you can't be attached to something that is killing you, thinking that it's doing good, with the intention to die. You know, so I don't. If you don't feel sympathy for somebody who is let's say a baddie, then I think there's a lot more darkness in you. And then when they finally come into the light and you don't feel joy, my girl, you are the drama.
Absolutely.
You are the problem.
Something beautiful that happened in your life, and sitting across you now, it absolutely makes sense, because I see the resemblance. A casting director says Bahumi is going to play Lebo Matosa, and Twitter goes into a stir. Nepo baby, what? Who is she? Where has she acted before? Firstly, where were you when you got the call? And secondly, where were you and how did you feel when you realized how Twitter is reacting to you getting the role?
I think that was the first time where God prepared me for the storm, for the waves. Before that, I think I was on my father's reality show.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I think it was the first season. And I had gotten, I won't even say way more backlash than I did for the Lip Matosa thing. I said things that I know even today that I shouldn't have said. Excuse me. I'm not going to blame it on young and dumb, but just dumb. You know, I would just say a bunch of dumb, stupid things that were really ignorant. And I think there were even times where I knew that they were ignorant statements. I just knew that they would I hope that people would find me as quirky and funny, and they didn't find them funny at all, and I learned from that. There were also in many respects where I said things that were misconstrued, and I also said things that were prompted by directors and writers and stuff like that, and it changed my entire idea of reality television. So I got my backlash there, and I remember just hating it. In fact, yeah, I hated the whole experience. There were things that people were right about and things that people were just absolutely wrong about. I grew, and then when the Lip Matosa thing came, in fact, I started feeling nervous from the audition
period.
Yeah. Because it was public auditions. I remember a friend that I hadn't even spoken to in a while sent me a picture saying that they were hosting the auditions, and I was really shook. I was like, oh, wow, you know? And for the first time this was the first time I was tempted to actually say, hey, I don't want to do this with everyone, because I know people are already...
Can I go into a private room?
Please go into a private room or whatever, right? And who did I ask? I don't remember who I asked, but they never got back to me. Oh no, I asked my agent. At the time because I didn't even get the audition from them, and they said they can't. They didn't even know about it. I guess maybe that's not the public audition, so they never went to agencies. They just went to the public, and so I was like, oh crap, okay, then I guess I'm alone. The next morning, I was still hesitant, but I was like, fine, we're just gonna go do it. I went, and people were already talking in the audition lines. And it was very nerve-wracking. In fact, there was a period in the audition where you had to go like 2 by 2. And I remember the closer we got to the door, people started stopping behind me. And I'm like, okay. And then I turned around and asked somebody else, excuse me, you know? And then these 2 girls, one of them actually went to UPto, bumped into her the next year. She's like, girl, there was no way that we're going to go with you. The last girl who went in with me, she ended up being like, fine, you know? And then they went in, and then she literally said, when we got into the door, she's like, we already know they're going to choose you. And I was like, okay. Well, that doesn't make me feel depressed, but it's fine. You know? And it's really tough because you go into a space and you know you're going to kill it. And I know I killed it. From being honest, I do. I want to feel shy saying that, but okay. You know, I know that I killed the audition. It's just sometimes you even go in there with a false sense of humility. Like even now what I'm doing, I'm like, you know, I even want to say, I know I freaking killed that audition, you know? But then in your mind, you almost would get distracted by people saying, even this, you know, this young lady saying, we already know you're going to get it, you know? And she's a lovely girl. Like I said, I bumped into her at UPto, but like people had they decide about you. And, you just have to decide whether you're going to go with their decision or not. So by the time the news broke out, I actually found out I was at a mall with my friend, and my agent called me because when I wrote down in the audition list, when I filled in the form, I wrote down my agent's name, and he called me, and he just played the song in the background, and I was like, ah! And I started screaming. My friend and I started screaming in the aisle. Like I remember we're in Rivonia Village. We started screaming
in the aisle.
They're like at the top, and people were just like, "What the heck is happening?" And I'm like, "I got the role!" And I started going on my knees saying, "Thank you, God!" There, like right there. And I was just so elated. I was ecstatic, and we started screaming. We're like, "Yep, and we're gonna be rich." That was literally what he said, because at the time I had no money. But I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be rich." I really thought that, you know, that this was definitely going to be my big break. And by the time, again, the people were talking and whatnot, I already knew what it was like for people to talk, and I'd already dealt a lot with that. God had already started working on that in me, and he wasn't going to let them take away that moment from me. And they didn't. I was ecstatic.
How did the actual role feel?
Oh. Heavy.
Okay.
It's interesting, and I think now that I think about it, all my big roles, because there's one that I recently did as well, but all the roles that I really, really look forward to, the experience, the anticipation versus the experience are very different.
I hear you.
Hence, I say people really should be careful, you know, with what they want. I wanted the role, and I'm still very happy that I got it. The experience was one heck of a roller coaster. I mean, getting ready for the role was very rewarding. You know, I got to speak to a number of people. I think I even reached out to Ostembi asking me if she has any things to guide me with. By the way, I didn't tell my parents about this. They found out along with everyone on social. So I didn't even go to my dad to ask him for advice. And like I said, before I had this thing, I'm like, I want to prove something to them as well.
Get you.
You know, so I didn't tell them at all. In fact, my dad, as soon as I got into the house, he was like, and I was like,
and then he hugged you.
And I was like, yeah, your best friend. Yeah, that one. You know, so, it was very rewarding in the sense that I got to learned so many things from people I've always wanted to work with in the industry. You know, Mam Koni Chume that was the first time we met on a professional level. Before I just met her on my grandmother's sets, and to work with her was just so different. I learned so much, so much about the industry from her. Like, I learned about how much people should really honor their veterans. My God, that woman was a powerhouse of a worker, and she was really undervalued. So she's the one that even taught me that along with my grandmother, like she kind of gave me the like grit, you know, to stay in the industry. So the things that I learned from these people weren't necessarily even like nuances in acting. They were just personality traits that I think they imparted upon me. There were things that can keep you and maintain you. It's almost like everywhere I go, really, people are just teaching me longevity. And you know, integrity, like it just keeps coming up. Hence, what you see isn't what you get all the time. So that was the rewarding part. Even learning about Sislebo's life, it was great, but I didn't take from it the acclaim and the power and, oh my gosh, she's just such an amazing performer, so I want to get there. No, I took, man, the people go through the most. People didn't even get to see half of her life experiences from the portrayal of that biopic. So hence I'm saying it was a very different experience. It was just very rewarding. Working on set was the set conditions were very challenging as well. They were very, very challenging. The hours, the weather conditions, just production in general is not as adorable as people would like to think it is. And maybe it's because they see America and be like, oh yeah, let's go. I want to be an actor. So all I can say is that it was a very rewarding experience, and that there were a lot of takeaways that I want to implement in my life.
You said something about reality television, and it looks like it left a bittersweet taste in your mouth. Dare I say you despise reality television? Why do you feel that way about it? What is it that we don't see? I mean, I'm a layman who just watches and consumes it.
I mean, despise is very strong, depending on how you look at it, or depending on your desires, you know. What you want to get out of it. So if there are things that you want to get out of it, probably more so in the sense of exposure, and the sense of driving a particular narrative, a particular focus in your life, then it could be of great benefit to you. I've seen many people, I mean, even the Kardashians, you know, I can't speak for them, I don't know. But I've seen many people really benefit from reality television if they harness and know what it is. I went into it not knowing what it was. And I think, that's the reason why I hated it at the time. I went into it thinking that it was actually going to be real. And I know that's really... That was very naive of me, but in my mind, I was a kid. I think I just come out of high school, and when I thought reality television, I was like, okay, what they're going to do is there's going to be a camera 24/7 around me. I must just be prepared for that. And when I wake up, they're going to be there, or they're at least going to come into my house very early in the morning. They're going to catch me waking up. They're going to catch me making breakfast. Then they're going to find out. They're going to just see how my day pans out, and they're going to just follow me along those lines. And then I learned that no, it's planned. So not scripted. I'm not saying that every reality show is or isn't scripted. Ours wasn't scripted, but it is planned. And I think it does make sense for producers and, you know, crew involved. So they plan it in the sense that they know what you're going to do in your day pre-shoot. And so they organize, you know, go to those places, get permission, all of those things, and then they follow you. So I don't necessarily mind the planning. It was the narratives that they then had to drive along with the planning, if I can call it that. I didn't know that there was a particular narrative that they drive. I just thought you tell them how your day is going to be, they follow you, and whatever takes place, takes place. It's not necessarily the case. It's more so, you know, if there's a particular story that they see is is a benefit to viewers, is just going to drive views, they're going to go with it. Again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. People want what they want. People want to see what they want to see. As somebody being in it, though, and as a kid at the time, I had no idea that there was a narrative being driven. I was just going into it blindly. And I wish I had known. And then there were many moments where I don't want to say this, but, it is what it is. I certainly wasn't cool with it, and it's not to say that I don't mind the people themselves, but there were many moments where I would I would find myself in, let's say, a scene that we're shooting, and this is how I talk, right? I mean, yes, we do have clown conversations with my friends, but my friends and I talk about a lot of things many people would find boring, but we like them because they grow us. And so we'd have conversations about our families, about our feelings, anxiety, all of those things. And I remember this one time, God, it pissed me off, especially since my friends were also called of God. Like, hey guys, we're shooting a early show, please come through, whatever. And we're shooting, and one of the people on set, he was on set at that time, and whatever he says goes, right? And so we're shooting, and then we're talking, and he says, oh my God, just talk about something, talk about sex. And we literally froze. We're like, wait, what? And he said it just that casually, and just, and he actually said it with great frustration. I think he was frustrated at the fact that there's nothing from this conversation, right? And I get it, fine, but I get you have a job to do, but don't corner me like that, And I was very young at the time. I didn't even know if I had a voice. I didn't even have a voice. I felt very afraid, very ashamed. And you're just going to just throw that line out there and just say, God, just talk about sex. It really, really pissed me off because it for one, we're kids. Maybe we're not kids. We're kids. We're young. We're 19. I'm not going to talk about sex on camera with my parents watching, with prospective employers watching. I'm not going to ruin my reputation and just talk about whatever you want me to talk about just because you want views. It's my life. You're not going to be here to defend me and say, oh, I told it to say that. You know what I mean? So that's just the tiniest of things I can tell you that really shifted my perspective on the industry, not just reality television. I'm not even saying that that's reality as a whole. In fact, as soon as I jumped back on, because I did season 1, I did season 2, they asked me to do season 3 and I think season 4, and I said no. And as soon as I jumped into season 5, which is why I led with what I led with in the beginning, I had an idea of what I was getting into, and I had a decision to make as to how I was going to narrate this thing. I was never going to lie to people. I wasn't going to lose my integrity. But I knew that I was going to drive the narrative this time. I don't care if it's my father's, mother's, sisters. I don't care whose show it is, so to speak. But if I am on it, and if I'm going to be on this show, if I'm going to do anything really, I'm going to maintain my integrity and drive the narrative that I want to drive, which to me, thank God, is true. So yeah, I have a very bittersweet relationship with it. It's I want to say it's not real. To say that could be a stretch. There are real moments in it. However, because it's a narrative that is being driven, and because people are seeing 30-minute glimpses to an hour glimpses of people's lives, they dare not think that is the foundation of someone's life. It cannot be. So please stop fooling yourselves and then stop drawing absolutes about people from a 1 hour episode a week. That is not who the person is. And don't just take little snippets and maybe one-liners that were probably taken out of context to drive a narrative and say that that is who someone is. That's not reality. It's just probably it's a moment in someone's life that could or could not be real.
As we near our conversation, I always want to understand our absolutes, and I'll explain this better. What's that one thing in life you know for sure that you're absolutely certain about?
God is real. Yeah, it's demons have to think about. God is real. I don't know. It seems, I don't know. There are powerful statements and powerful realities in life that are said in such simple statements, yet people don't know the gravity or the weight that they hold. And I think a statement like God is real should shake you. I think, if anything, it should draw you to further exploration. The reason why I say that, and the reason why I say that that's my true north, that's my true foundation, that's the one thing that I know is like, my truth, so to speak, is because something with that much gravity really just drives the rest of your life. So as soon as I say God is real, you best believe I live every part of my life like he is. Like, you best believe my friends are structured like God is real. My career is structured like God is real. What I say is structured like God is real. I'm careful about what I say because God is real. I'm careful about what I do because God is real. In fact, I am who I am because God is real. I love the way I love because God is real. I'm as intentional about compassion because God is real. And when I say God is real, I say that because I know the God who is real. I know the God I'm talking about when I say God is real. I don't mean some possible energy that's in existence out there. If that's where people are at, fine, explore, go deeper. But I say God is real because I know that he is linked to all those other traits I've just mentioned.
Yeah.
The compassion, the love, the attention to detail that I pay to things. He's real. So he literally just narrates my life. And that's why he's my reality. It just is what it is.
You may not be born of fame or born into fame like Bahumi, but there is a lesson to be learned in understanding that not having the latest car, not having the BBL, feeling like your journey is slower, whether you're an actress like her or you're an accountant and you've been failing your board exams, or you're a lawyer and your articles are not going through well. But there is fruit in the waiting season, being intentional in the waiting season, having the patience, and being centered and rooted. So don't feel the pressure to be what others are doing because you don't understand what they did to get there and how dysfunctional they may be in how they are maintaining how they are there. Bahumi, thank you so much for this conversation. It was fulfilling. It was empowering. And I hope you continue in this trajectory because it's not every day where we are reminded to slow down. And more than anything, you are saying it's okay to slow down. What's the rush? Yeah.
I think and this is the last time I'm going to say, that's the perk and the blessing that I think God has given me in being born in the space that I've been born in. There are very few people who have the advantage to see from the perspective that I've seen things in. there are beauties in it. Like there are true beauties in it, and there are amazing perks too. It's nice to get free tickets to events. It's really great, you know. But I think the true perks are the fact that I was just so blessed to see the good and the ugly, take the ugly, deliver it to people who need to see it. I'm not saying that I'm the deliverer. I'm not even saying that I'm the person that shares it with people. But I think that I would like people to have clarity, to have sight, to have foresight, and use that to their advantage, as I am, so that when you move and you get into the spaces that you've been wanting to be in, when you finally reach that destination, you reach it having had strong and secure foundations, you know, and not oblivious like everybody else is in this industry, just awaiting their demise. So, yeah.
The show is Engineer Your Life. I'm Lungelo KM. I will see you on the next Growth Conversation.